Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Zen in 10. This is day number 6, and we are on week 2 of Zen in 10. So today we're going to play a fun little game dealing with mystery macros. We're going to also go over what is a macro and how do they affect your body. So fun little things. I'll pause my little music. I hope you guys enjoyed that little game show beginning. And we're going to go over just a brief what is a macronutrient in case this is your first time hearing about them. As opposed to what was taught to you in like a food pyramid, things like that. This is going to dive a little deeper to what they do for your body, as well as how many is classified based on your daily value. So everyone's calories and BMR is going to be different. So these numbers will look a little different for you, but this is just a standard measure of what can be considered a macronutrient. So you have macro, you have micro, and then you do have mixed macronutrients. So something that is a source of protein can also be a significant source of carb as well, or a fat, and then vice versa for all of the other macronutrients. So you can have one that's mixed, you can have one that's primarily just protein, primarily just fat, or primarily just a carb, which is what you guys are going to be identifying in food sources here in a minute. But basically, if you're looking at carbs, 10 grams of carbs plus is going to be considered a significant amount to be a macronutrient for that source. Proteins is going to be 7 grams or higher, and then your fat is going to be 5 grams of fat or higher. So some of those examples are listed below. I'm not going to go over all of them because it is your guys' job to kind of identify these as we go along. And then something just to note when looking at a food label, if something is labeled as like high protein, low fat, low carb, number one, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's better. It also doesn't mean it has a significantly higher amount of protein for the amount of calories in something. So normally, and there's lots of apps out there as well, especially if you're also going to look into the ingredients of like, where is the source of protein coming from? What type of carbs is in this? Is this a super healthy fat, or is it, does it have a lot of chemicals added into it? So the Yuka app is something really good for that. And I can kind of show you guys that one. But if you're looking at it and let's say you're on a food source that has, let's say it's a protein bar, 300 calories for 10 grams of protein. While yes, 10 grams of protein is technically the guideline to label something as high protein, for the amount of calories you have, for instance, for, 4 ounces of lean ground beef, you could get about 20 grams of protein. For chicken breast, you could get about 27 grams of protein for that same amount of calories. So just because something is labeled high protein or low carb, low fat, please do not believe that is all you need to look at. So not to say that you have so many things to look at, but when you're looking at those things, just know that the FDA only regulates it to a certain point. So if it has 10 grams of protein plus, they're not also looking at the calorie source and then anything else that's added in those ingredients. So just be mindful. This is not to shame you on your grocery shopping, and this is not to scare you or think you have to spend hours in the grocery store. But when looking at something, just know that because it is labeled as a higher or lower content of something, it's just based on guided standards. It's not based on your actual body needs. Alrighty. So let's do a quick refresh. Carbs, again, are going to be the quick source. They're your grains, your fruits, your pastas, your breads. That's your first source that your body goes to when you start out in either exercise or when you get up in the morning. So what you fuel your body with in the morning is super important, kind of like we talked about last time. And then just as a standard, if you can get 30 grams of protein in on your first meal as well to build and repair muscles, but it also is going to be that first thing you do to break your fast or breakfast in the morning. That's going to be super important to kind of regulate hormones and guide the rest of your day, which also is where fats come in. Super important for hormone support and then brain fuel as well. So if you guys ever feel you're hitting a slump in the middle of the afternoon, could be, yes, not just a lack of caffeine, but it could be potentially because your meals are not fully balanced. So make sure you're picking some of these, and we'll go over kind of how to set up your plate after we play our fun little game coming up. And basically what we are going to do is based off of these macronutrients, so carbs, proteins, and fats. And remember, we can have a mixed macronutrient count. So something that is also a high protein source can also be a high carb source. So we're going to go over the few first ones are like gimmies, or at least are a little easier. They're not going to be mixed. And then we'll have a couple other ones. I wish you were playing this live, but if you want to comment below as you're going through this and just, shout out carb, protein, fat, you can. Otherwise, I have something I want you guys to comment at the end. So first one here is going to be oatmeal with banana and honey. I'll give you guys a second to think about it. What is the main protein source here? Or sorry, the main macronutrient source here? Is it a protein, fat, carb? Again, I did not do a mixed one the first one. So I'll give you a second to think about it. And then I will remove the banana from our little bullet points here to give you the breakdown. And that should give you a little hint on which one it is. Okay, so this one has 45 grams of carbs, 5 grams of protein, and then 3 grams of fat. So our answer here is, it is a carb. All right, so remember, 7 grams of protein would classify that. So if we simply added a protein powder to our oatmeal in the morning, then we could classify this as both a carb dominant source and a protein dominant source. All right. Same thing with that fat. If we get over our 7 grams here, 5 grams even. So if we just add a tiny bit of something, even if you add some coconut oil to it, geez, I don't even know what else. Cottage cheese and oatmeal, probably not. Some sort of fat source. I would say coconut oil would be the ideal one here, unless you really love olive oil sprinkled over it. Regardless, if you add 2 more grams, this could be a triple dominant macronutrient. So you could also have 3. Now, you are getting into the range to where that might be a very caloric food source, which if your body only likes 2 to 3 meals a day, then you do actually want to pack all 3 nutrients in those meals. So that was the first one. Sorry, I'll try not to go off on tangents. Second one, grilled chicken breast. I'll give you a second. Think about it. All right. And so I didn't say we seasoned it with anything or added anything on it. So just your typical grilled chicken breast is going to be 30 grams of protein, 3 grams of fat, 0 grams of carbs. So really great for those of you if you're doing like keto, things like that. High protein, high fat. Now, obviously with this, you would add on some avocado, some butter, something to give you a little more of a fat source. So this one, obviously protein. All right, 30 grams of protein. And then your fat and carb source, again, you can add anything to it to then make it a mixed macro. But for the means of it all, this one is just a protein. All right, avocado toast with olive oil. Add it on here. Dun, dun, dun. I should play my little Jeopardy music. All right, so we have 20 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, 4 grams of protein. Dun, dun, dun. Oh! All right, so our main source here is still going to be a fat because we have such a significant amount of fat on there. Your 15 grams of carbs is going to be obviously still more than that 7 grams that like the initial standard is met by. But because 20 grams of fat is equal to 9 grams per calorie, that 15 grams of carbs does not hit our 20%. So I hope this one did not confuse you. I did not put mixed macro at the beginning. If you guys thought this was both a carb and fat source, this is not meant to be a trick question, but just to explain that because fat sources have such a higher caloric content than your carb or protein, that sometimes just because, you have a small piece of toast under there and you think it might be a dominant carb source, because of the daily value that your fat provides, the carb source is no longer the higher percentage. Okay, so not a trick question. Next one is a mixed macro. So we have Greek yogurt with berries on here. So this means we have 2 macronutrients that this one meets. I will go ahead and unveil the number. So 15 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fat. Dun, dun, dun. It's a protein and a carb. Great job if you guys got that. Remember, comment below if you want to. I do have one final thing I would like you to comment if you can. And then rice and beans. And this will be our last one. All right, so this one is also a mixed macro. We have rice, which is predominantly a carb source. And then we have beans, which actually is both. It is a very starchy form of protein, which means we have carbs and protein for our final one. Alrighty. So when building a mindful plate, let's try and at least get 2 of the 3 macros in each meal. All right. So protein is going to keep us full. Carbs give us that quick energy. So your fruits, grains, breads. Healthy fats rounds everything out, balances those hormones, and then also is really good for brain health. So if you're missing any of those, try to round it out. Get about 2 or 3 of each at every meal. And like I said, if you are somebody who likes to just eat 2 big meals, let's make sure to get all 3 in each of those meals just to make it a very rounded day. If you're someone that snacks throughout the day to kind of piece things together, that's great. You can get 2 of the 3 in each of those meals and still be within your macro range by the end of the day. So don't stress yourself out about this. But if you would like to calculate your own, you can do that here. Now, this is based off 2,000 calories per day. And then your standard formula, 40% protein, 30% from carbs, 30% from fat. So if you have a different split and it's already like in MyFitnessPal or a different app, totally fine. And if you want to keep that, if everything's going great, keep it that way. By no means do you have to do this. But if you have never calculated it or you would love to know what yours are, etc., you can just change your calories. So if somebody has a 1,500 calories per day goal, anything like that, you'll just put it in your little parentheses here, multiply it by the 0.4, and that'll give you how many grams you should be getting per day. And then obviously, if you really want to break it down and calculate, you can calculate then all your grams of carbs, fats, and protein per meal. So to earn 10 points, you're going to comment your macro split below in the video. So that means you got to insert into here the 0.4, 0.3, 0.3 for fat based off of your calories. If you don't know your calories and you want to come in and do an in-body scan, again, we can calculate it for you. If you don't know how to do it at all, just email me and we can set up a time as well. And then after today, this should be 40 points you have earned up to this point. I'm going to calculate everyone's points today and send out a leaderboard update. If you have liked the videos and has not commented, unfortunately, we cannot see the likes. So go back, comment. It is not too late. Actually, you'll have the whole month to comment. But remember, these videos this week are worth 10 points. Last week, they're all worth 5. And tomorrow is our live event. So we're going to do Take a Sip Tuesday tomorrow live at 1 o'clock in the fitness center. If you miss that time slot, we'll still have like the electrolyte samples that you can swing by and grab anytime after that. And then we also have blood pressure checks this week. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will be on the floors doing blood pressure checks with our new automatic machines. So please come by and get yours checked. You will get an extra 10 points. We'll star your name on the sheet to let ourselves know that you're part of Zen in 10. But if you want to email us and just let us know we got our blood pressure check, that is great too. And then just to hold yourselves accountable, make sure you're marking them off on your sheet. That way nobody gets missed points and everybody can love. And we did get our little prizes in for the challenge. So please send us your points. Please comment on the videos. Like I said, I am right now going to post this and then go through and mark all the points from comments and then from our yoga in the park session. All right. So once again, I've done it and I've gone over. If you guys have questions about today or if I ran through anything too fast, feel free to email me. And then Tyler will be here tonight as well if you want to stop in.